There's some major opportunity happening here in San Antonio, and you need to know about it, especially if you're in the market for a new home. New construction is booming all across the city. Builders are unveiling new communities left and right. They're rolling out new inventory and releasing massive incentives. But it's hard to know where to even start and easy to feel overwhelmed with so many options to choose from. If you're thinking about moving to San Antonio and want to buy a new home, you're going to want to listen to this. Today, I'm going to go over a few things that you should consider before you put your hard-earned money down on a deposit and sign a builder contract. I'm going to walk you through the enormous opportunity that new home buyers have here in new construction in San Antonio. I'm going to show you some pitfalls that you might run across along the way. I'm also going to show you the areas that have the most opportunity for you to get the best deal on that new home. Now, the reason that deals on new construction are so crazy good right now has everything to do with what's going on in the resale market, and that has a lot to do with what's going on with inflation and interest rates. So in the existing home resale market, there is a lot of what is referred to as interest rate lock. Homeowners are reluctant to sell their homes because of having super low interest rates, like in the 2 and 3% that we won't likely ever see again unless something catastrophic happens with the economy. People that either bought or refinanced their homes to that lower rate in the past few years are reluctant to put their homes up for sale, which is resulting in a lower inventory for buyers to search for homes, although new construction inventory has been increasing over the last few months. It's still a little tough to find a great deal in the resale market right now, but things are totally different when it comes to new construction. One of the things that builders have always been able to offer is great incentives to get the homes sold, like closing costs, interest rate buy downs, appliance packages, blinds for your home. In one instance lately, the builder knocked like $40,000 off the price of the home, which had already been discounted another $50,000, and threw in $15,000 worth of closing costs and bought the interest rate down to the 4% range. And that's not even a crazy or uncommon story. There's lots of builders offering lots of incentives right now all across the city with new phases and new subdivisions and more on the horizon, but don't expect all of these incentives to last forever. There's also been clients that have gotten into a 0% down payment loan with $0. And I mean, they paid the earnest money deposit and then got that refunded to them at the closing table because of all of the incentives and closing costs that the builder was offering. But with the prediction that they could be in the high 5s or low 6s by the end of the year, this is going to have a huge impact. I think there's a lot of pent-up demand in the market. A lot of people have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to drop to get into the market and buy. And when the rates do come down, demand will go up and so will prices. I think people will be more willing to cash out the equity in their homes, and then from there, builders won't have to offer the incentives anymore because they just won't have to try as hard to get people to buy their homes. It's just what happens when the market shifts like that. We've seen it before, and that's when people get priced out of the market. And that's why I think this is a prime opportunity to take advantage of and get yourself locked in on a builder contract now. There's a lot of opportunity for amazing purchase prices, lower interest rates, and long-term appreciation value. Now, before I start showing you around San Antonio where a lot of the opportunities are in the up and coming neighborhoods for new construction, there's 4 things that you need to keep in mind before diving into this new construction process. Let me just say that after you watch this video, if you're thinking about buying new construction, just reach out to me, call, text, or email me, and we'll discuss all the details, and I'll start collecting the communities and the best deals that might fit your needs. If you're wanting certain amenities, the pool, the fitness center, the water slide, etc., I can help start narrowing down communities that will have those particular amenities. And know that most all new built communities here in the San Antonio area are gonna have an HOA. There might be a few situations where a custom builder bought a individual lot in the existing neighborhood or something like that and is building a custom home, but those are going to be few and far between. Most of the new build communities are going to have an HOA, but they're not like what you might have heard some of the horror stories. In most cases, there will be some restrictions, like you can't paint your house lime green or park broken down cars in your front yard or have a herd of goats in your backyard, but reasonable things you can do to your property. It's not like some of the other states where the HOAs have so much control over what you can even do to the inside of your home, or you can't plant this kind of tree or that kind of tree. It's not like that here. It's very reasonable, and mostly the HOAs are there to maintain common areas, or if it's a gated community, the gates and the streets inside the neighborhood, and just keep the community nice. Now back to the 4 things that you need to consider before purchasing new construction before we dive into the map and see where all the areas are. The first one may be the determining factor in deciding whether a new construction home is right for you or whether you'd be better off going with a resale existing home. How long are you planning on being in the home? For example, if you're thinking you might only be here for a couple years before getting transferred somewhere else, or that your family might outgrow the home in just a couple of years, think about whether you want to sell the home at that time. If the builder is still building new homes in your neighborhood, it's going to be more challenging to sell your home. There's going to be more competition, and unless we get a crazy appreciation market like we had in the past few years due to the anomaly that was COVID, you may not have enough equity in your home to offset the cost of selling. If you're thinking about possibly keeping the home as an investment property and renting it out at that time, or if you're thinking of a community where the builder is mostly finished building and developing the community, that may be a different story and might be a good fit for you. This is where the right realtor can help you with a plan and look at the big picture of your real estate needs. Back to the scenario where the builder is still building in your neighborhood, like 2 years from now when you decide you want to sell, the builder is still building that exact same floor plan, you will not be able to sell your home for the same price that they are selling the new home for. It's just a fact. It's something that you should consider if you know it's going to be a short-term deal and you're going to need to sell in a couple of years. A new construction home may not be right for you. This is where I can help you to come up with a plan to protect your equity and potentially build wealth through real estate. This second thing could mean the difference between you being disappointed or in you getting everything that you want in a new construction home. Home prices in San Antonio have definitely gone up in the past few years, so in an effort to provide more affordable homes, a lot of builders have started pulling back on their standard options. So sometimes what you see in the model home may not be an actual true representation of what most of the homes in the community actually look like. The model might have nearly every available option and upgrade and the premium price tag to go along with it. Not every builder is like this, but a good question to ask when touring a model home is how much would it cost to build this exact floor plan the exact way that I see it here with all of these options. Then you can compare that to the base price of the floor plan to know what the difference is. Then I would ask to go around the neighborhood and see completed homes and homes under construction so you can compare the quality and the finishes to what you just saw in the model so that you can know if you need to do those upgrades and extra options to get exactly what you're looking for. The third thing, and it kind of goes along with the first one, is how far along the community and the area is in development and how this is going to affect your lifestyle. A lot of the new build communities are kind of on the outskirts and don't have everything developed yet around them or even within the neighborhood itself. Sometimes they're selling new phases before the roads have even gone in yet, so you're really buying based on a vision of what they expect it to look like. You need to have a good idea of what's coming soon to the neighborhood and the area. Are there going to be new schools built, new roads, new shopping centers or restaurants, or even when the amenity center is scheduled to be completed in the neighborhood? Sometimes the builder reps will try to sell you on the vision of what's coming in the future, and sometimes the things around the shopping centers and roads and things might be years away from being completed. Now, you might not care if you're far away from everything. That might be your goal in moving to a new construction area. So you might not care if it takes a long time to get a DoorDash or if Target's not right around the corner, but you might care about road construction. So think about how and if this might influence your purchasing decision when deciding to buy a new construction home. Number 4 is probably the most stressful part of buying a new build home for most people. That is the timing. It's not an exact science, and it's usually a moving target, and that makes it even more difficult and stressful to navigate. Even just knowing that ahead of time can make it easier to make realistic plans. A few years ago, you could choose your lot and your floor plan when building from the ground up and pretty much be guaranteed that your home would be ready for you to move in about 8 to 10 months. But here in the San Antonio area and a lot of places, there's been a lot of changes in the new construction market. So things are a little bit different now. If you're building from the ground up, you're still gonna pick your lot and your floor plan, your elevation, your design choices. But then you're kind of just in a waiting mode, and there's a lot of factors that go into how long you might be waiting. Sometimes there's a lot of momentum in the area and things might progress smoothly and quickly. Other times there might be supply issues or labor issues that cause delays. Even sometimes there's geopolitical things that go into it with regards to infrastructure and permitting and when they get the green light to move forward with the project. And any of these factors could determine whether your new build takes 8 months or a year and a half. Some clients have had to extend their lease by a couple months or spend time in an Airbnb because of delays. Asking the builder rep and the construction manager how long things are actually taking right now and comparing the answers that each one of them gives you is going to tell you whether we get a good idea or whether there's going to be a lot of unknowns regarding your completion date. It will never be an exact science, but it's still a great opportunity to get 99% of what you're looking for in a home. But if you're on a more strict timeline or want a more predictable outcome, choosing an inventory might be a better option for you. On the other hand, if you need a little bit longer timeline, it's late February now and you're wanting to move in either May or June, you can go ahead and contract on a home now. We look for a home that has a May or June completion date. It's probably listed out there on the market right now. You don't have to rush to get everything done within 30 days. Whereas if you're buying a resale home, trying to find somebody that is willing to accept a closing date that far out is going to be difficult. They may have places that they need to be, or they may have already moved, and expecting them to wait 3 to 4 months for you to finalize the purchase is just not realistic. So now let's take a look at some of the hottest areas for new builds. As you can see, this map shows new build communities are spread out all over the city. And this is not all of the communities actively building. Some of the builders don't list their homes, so they don't show up on the typical search sites or on this map. Obviously, we won't be able to cover all of these, but we're gonna cover kind of each area of town and some of the most up and coming communities. Starting with the south side, which typically has not been a huge area for growth, but this area is slated to be the hottest area for growth over the next decade. You can see that there's quite a few options for communities and builders, and even more that aren't even showing up on this map. One community in particular that I think is going to completely transform this area is off of 410 South in Zarzamora, adjacent to the Texas A&M University at San Antonio, called Vida. It's a 600-acre plus master planned, set aside for future shopping, restaurants, entertainment, hospitals, offices, and thousands of housing options, including single-family homes that are already being built by builders such as Lennar, Highland, and Perry, apartment homes, and even student housing. Plan is to have this kind of large town square kind of at the center of the development, which is going to have lots of community events, eating options, shopping, healthcare, all minutes from your doorstep. There's miles of trails and parks and amenities planned as well, making this one of the most walkable communities in the entire San Antonio area. I've heard folks refer to this as the new Stone Oak or the new Alamo Ranch that's going to be down in South San Antonio. However, this is going to be something that's going to take time. If you buy a home there now, it might be 10 to 15 years before all of this planned development is completed. This is kind of the way Alamo Ranch was back in the early 2010s, and now it's this really active, thriving community. I'm excited about this. It is going to be such a cool area to watch how this area grows. All across the south side in Vida and other communities, there's lots of options with lots of different builders, from homes starting below $200,000 up to the $400,000 range. There's really not a lot above $400,000 in this area. Moving on to the east and northeast side, there's a lot of options here, and again, not all of them are shown. I'm talking about the Converse, Schertz, Cibolo, Selma, Universal City, St. Hedwig, and even New Braunfels and Seguin areas. There's lots of affordable options in this area, from tiny homes starting below $200,000 to lots of options in the $300,000 range. In New Braunfels, which is one of the fastest growing towns in the entire United States, prices are gonna have a very wide range. They're gonna start in the 200s, and then you'll have options all the way up to luxury multi-million dollar homes. In Seguin, that's also an area that I predict is going to be one of the hottest growing areas over the near future. There's a lot of communities, not all of which are shown here, and a lot of really affordable options starting in the 200s up to about the 500s. Lavernia is also an area not to be forgotten. It doesn't really have the typical tract home communities, but it does have a really neat community that I wanted to mention. It's Woodbridge, and they have a lot of luxury farmhouse style homes on bigger lots. So it gives you kind of a country, small town feel with an upscale neighborhood. Now over to the Bulverde area. Bulverde and Spring Branch is kind of one area. Spring Branch is just a little bit further north. There's a lot of options in this area starting in about the mid 300s. Some of the more affordable options are going to be with D.R. Horton and Meritage Homes. There's also quite a few options in the $500,000 to $600,000 range in Kinder Ranch. And then up to your multi-million dollar homes. Those are going to be your more custom homes on larger lots. There's a lot of options available for those custom homes on half-acre, 1 acre lots or more. A lot of options that aren't your typical tract home communities. Mystic Shores, Ventana, Bell Oaks, and Royal Oak Estates are going to be some of those higher end communities for custom homes on those larger lots. Moving west, you can see there is a lot of options for new homes and new home communities here. Probably well over 1,000 homes for sale. And those are just the ones that are shown on the map. This area has been a huge area of growth and development over the last decade, with Alamo Ranch being developed, and then it's just gone out from there. Now it's expanding past Highway 211, and it's going to keep going from there. There's even a new Microsoft data center that's going in out in Medina County that's going to fuel even more growth out in that area. There are options with nearly every builder and every budget out here, with homes starting in the 200s and even some tiny homes starting below that amount. There's even some custom homes on acre lots, and if you're looking for a custom home on acreage, your money is going to go really far out in this area. Bernie is also another area that is still hot for new construction. There's a lot of options starting at around $400,000 up to the custom luxury builders on acreage lots up in the multi-millions with some of the best amenities around. There are some options in this area that have a Bernie address but aren't in the Bernie School District. They're in Northside School District, which is still a fantastic school district. But they're going to be a little bit more affordable, probably below $400,000, but you're going to sacrifice that Bernie School District. In Bernie ISD, probably the most affordable option is going to be Shoreline Park. It's a KB home community that's right next to Bernie City Lake. It's going to have a waterfront park and just a really neat neighborhood with some great amenities. Another neighborhood to take note of in the Bernie area is the Esperanza community, which has some amazing resort style amenities. So if you're looking for a resort style community, you definitely need to go and take a look at Esperanza. Some of the top luxury home communities in this area are also Cordillera Ranch and Anaqua Springs Ranch, as well as the Dominion. In the downtown and Alamo Heights areas, there's going to be some opportunities for new construction, although much less prominent than the ones that I just mentioned. Alamo Heights and Terrell Hills is going to be more luxury, custom homes in the multi-millions. And just east of downtown in the Denver Heights area, this area is kind of going through a bit of a revitalization. So there's some homes that weren't livable that have been torn down and are now being rebuilt as kind of these cool condo townhouse type builds, and it's really neat to see some affordable options in that area kind of be revitalized. That about wraps up our new construction now, and if you have any questions, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. I love doing what I do, and I would love to help you get into a new construction home here in San Antonio. Let me help you make sure you're getting the best deal and find the right community and right home for you. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Thanks for watching.